Wonderful to read from, I love this part of the world, by the way. Any excuse to come down here and feel, you know, warmth and stuff. It's good. I'll be reading from Super Sad True Love Story, my latest book. The cover is one of the best things about it. It tested well with the youths. Put a bunch of youths into the room, and some had acid flashbacks, but some bought the book, you know. Kind of like no carpet here. Okay. No, it's really great, and you know, if you have a dachshund, they can play Twister on it. So. It's a great book. Andrew was explaining a few things about it. It is set slightly in the future, when a completely illiterate America is about to fall apart. So next Tuesday, maybe. Yeah, there's the ruling party is called the Bipartisan Party. Isn't that nice? So you don't have to choose much. And it's under the leadership of a man called Defense Secretary Rubenstein. I know, everyone wants a Jewish strongman, and I would have one. There's a device called the apparat, which was mentioned, which ranks everyone's fuckability and wealth, etc. And so the way it works is you're constantly being ranked by everyone around you. So let's say I walk into a bar, you know, on Ocean Drive in Miami Beach. Immediately, it turns out that I'm the 7th ugliest man in the room, but I have the 4th best credit rating or something like that. So, very important. The main characters are the Russian-American Lenny Abramov. He's the narrator of this section, and he's approaching his 40s, which is a big no-no in the society. And he works for a company called Post-Human Services, which is trying to find a cure for death. Not going so well. And he has a younger Korean-American girlfriend named Eunice Park, who's about 24 or so. The last thing you should know is that Lenny likes to read books, which is also a big no-no in this society. The youths think that books smell very badly, and they don't read them. Eunice spends most of the novel shopping online, for example. Okay, good. The next day, Eunice and I took the Long Island Railroad to Westbury, Long Island, to meet my parents, the Abramovs. The love I felt for Eunice on that train ride had a capital and provinces, parishes and a Vatican, and orange planets and many sullen moons. It was systemic and it was complete. Eunice was nervous almost to the point of quaking. Her outfit was conservative for the occasion, a sky blue blouse with a Peter Pan collar and white buttons, pleated wool skirt reaching down below the knees, a black ribbon tied around the neck. From certain angles, she looked like one of the Orthodox Jewish women who have overrun my co-op building on Grand Street. There she was, sweating so handsomely in her orange pleather LIRR seat. Her elder worship and elder fear brought out a strange immigrant pride in me. There was something else too. It was on the Long Island Railroad some 20 years ago that I had had my first crush on a Korean girl. I'd been a freshman at a prestigious math and science high school in Tribeca. Most of the other kids were Asian, and although technically you had to live within New York City to go to the school, there were more than a few of us who faked our residency and commuted from various parcels of Long Island. For me, the long ride to Westbury and its dozens of fellow nerd students was a particularly difficult one because it was public knowledge at the science high school that my weighted average was a dismal 86.894, while at least 91.553 had been recommended for entry into Cornell or the University of Pennsylvania, the weakest of the Ivy League schools. As immigrant children from high-performing nations, we knew our parents would slap us across the mouth for anything less than Cornell. Several of the Korean and Chinese boys who took the railroad with me, their spiky hair still haunts my most literal dreams, would dance around me, singing my average, 86.894, 86.894. You won't even get into Oberlin with that, they said. Have fun at NYU, Abramov. Yeah, see you at the University of Chicago as the teacher of teachers. But there was one girl, another Eunice, the Eunice Choi to be exact, a tall, quiet beauty, who would pry the boys away from me while shouting, It's not Lenny's fault he can't do well in school. Remember what Reverend Sun says in church, we're all different. We all have different abilities. Remember the fall of man? We're all fallen creatures. And then she'd sit down with me and, unbidden, help me with my impossible chemistry homework, moving the strange letters and numbers around my notebook until the equations were for some reason deemed balanced, while I, utterly unbalanced by the magical girl next to me, her skin glowing beneath her summer gym shorts and orange Princeton jersey, tried to catch a brief smell of her hair or a brush of her carved elbow. It was the first time a woman had risen up to defend me, had given me the idea that I actually should be defended, that I wasn't a bad person, just not as skilled at life as some others. At Westbury, Eunice and I disembarked before an armored personnel carrier sitting by the squat station house, its .50 caliber Browning gun bouncing up and down. National Guardsmen were surveying the diverse crowds, Salvadorans and Irish and South Asians and Jews, and whoever else had chosen to make this corner of central Long Island the rich, smelly tapestry it had now become. The troops appeared angrier and more sunburned than usual. Perhaps they had just been rotated out of Venezuela. We're fighting in Venezuela in this future. It's not going well. Beside the armored personnel carrier, a sign read, "It is forbidden to acknowledge the existence of this armored personnel carrier, the object." By reading this sign, you have denied existence of the object and implied consent. We took a cab to the corner of Washington Avenue in Myron, the most important corner of my life. I could already see my parents' brownish, half-brick, half-stucco cape, the golden mailbox out in front, the faux 19th century lamp beside it, the cheap lawn chair stacked on the island of cement that was supposed to be the front porch, and the gigantic flags of the United States and Israel billowing from 2 flagpoles. I felt a little embarrassed because I knew that Eunice's parents were much better off than mine. At the door, my mother appeared in her usual household outfit, white bra and panties. She was about to throw her arms around my neck when she noticed Eunice let out some Russian garble of amazement and retreated inside the house, leaving me with the visuals of her thick breasts and white little round of belly. My father, shirtless, soon took her place, also gasped at Eunice, ran his hand against his naked, muscular breast, said, "Whoa," then hugged me. There was hair against my new dress shirt, the gray carpet of hair that my father wore with an odd touch of class, as if he were a royal in some tropical country. He kissed me on both cheeks, and I did the same, feeling the instructions, the code of Russian father-son relations. Father means I have to love him, have to listen to him, can't offend him, can't hurt him, can't bring him to task for past wrongs. He's an old man now, defensive. My mother reappeared in shorts and a wife beater. "Synochek, little son," she shouted, "look who's come to visit us, nasz lubinets, our favorite." She shook Eunice's hand, and both of my parents swiftly evaluated her, affirmed that she was, like her predecessors, not Jewish, but quietly approved of the fact that she was thin and attractive with a healthy black mane of hair. My mother unwrapped her own precious blonde locks from the green handkerchief that kept them safe from the American sun and smiled prettily at Eunice. She began talking in her brave post-retirement English about how glad she was to have a potential daughter-in-law, filling in the contours of her loneliness with rapid-fire questions of my mysterious life in faraway Manhattan. "Does Lenny keep clean house? Does he vacuum? Once I come to college dormitory. Oh, awful, such smell. Dead ficus tree, old cheese on table, socks hanging in windows." Eunice smiled and spoke in my favor. "He's like very good, Mrs. Abramov," she said. "He's like very clean." I looked at her with love. Somewhere beneath the bright suburban skies, I felt the presence of a .50 caliber Browning gun swiveling toward an incoming Long Island Railroad train. But here I stood, surrounded by the people who loved me.